I want to start today with a question that feels a little dangerous.
Hmm.
It's one of those like 3 a.m. ceiling staring kinds of questions. Is it actually possible to be fully seen by another person?
Right.
Or is there always a part of us, a kind of internal static or a glitch that just remains untranslatable no matter how hard we try? I feel like we spend our whole lives trying to bridge that gap, but I don't know, I'm starting to wonder if the bridge is even buildable.
It is the fundamental human dilemma, isn't it?
Yuko.
We crave connection, we are desperate for it, but we are biologically trapped in these singular bodies.
Yeah.
And today, we're looking at two source texts that answer that exact question in radically different, almost combative ways. It's not often we get two books that seem to be just shouting at each other from across the room.
Yeah, this deep dive feels less like a book club and more like a heavyweight boxing match between two philosophies. In the blue corner, we have the novel The Telling Wound by Penix Bukask.
Mm-hmm.
And in the red corner, The Unrecognizable by Aben X. Arary. And I have to say, reading them back to back gave me a bit of whiplash.
That is the intended effect.
Yeah.
They're fascinating counterpoints. The Telling Wound gives us this beautiful, hopeful argument that this self is relational, that we heal by telling our stories and being heard. It believes in the arc of recovery.
It's very seductive.
Very.
It is. It's the movie version of life where everything kind of wraps up nicely, but then the unrecognizable comes in and basically flips the table. It argues that true understanding is actually impossible, and that the goal of life isn't healing or fixing, but just endurance.
Exactly. It suggests we aren't solid cores waiting to be found, but maybe just residue or error. So our mission today is to explore the architecture of the self through these two opposing lenses.
Okay.
We're going to talk about narrative medicine, the brutal reality of chronic pain, and whether we're building houses for each other or we're just sitting together on a bench in the dark.
I love that image, even if it is a little bleak. So let's unpack The Telling Wound first. This book centers on a character named Mira. She works in a clinic, but she's not a doctor in the traditional sense. The book says she works in narrative medicine. Now, I know that sounds like a buzzword, but how are they defining it here?
Well, narrative medicine is a real field. It's used at Columbia and other major institutions. But in this book, it takes on a very specific philosophical weight. Mira's job isn't to treat symptoms like, a broken leg or high blood pressure.
Right.
Her job is to listen to patients tell themselves into existence.
That phrase really stuck with me, tell themselves into existence. It implies that before the telling, the person isn't fully there.
Exactly.
It's almost like they're a ghost until someone acknowledges them.
That is Mira's core realization. She operates on the premise that the self isn't private property. It's not some solid nugget of gold inside you that you just have to dig up and show people. She realizes the self is an event. It's something that happens between people.
So it's like a phone call. If no one picks up on the other end, there is no conversation, there's no event.
Precisely. If you speak and no one hears you, do you exist? Mira would say, barely.
Yeah.
And the book gives us some heartbreaking case studies to illustrate this.
Yeah.
The one that really stands out, and I'd love to hear your take on this because it's so visceral, is Sera.
Oh, Sera's story just destroyed me. So Sera has a tumor in her throat, and she describes it in this terrifying way. She says it's eating her voice. And for her, that's catastrophic because she used to sing to her daughter every night. But it wasn't just about the song, was it?
No, and here is where the metaphor gets really interesting. Sera describes her voice not just as a sound, but as a house her daughter lived in.
House.
A house. She says when she sang to her daughter at night, the song built a shelter around the child.
That is such a powerful way to put it. It turns the voice into architecture. But now she's facing surgery. She's going to lose that voice. She feels like she's evicting her kid.
Yes. She's terrified that without her voice, the house falls down and her daughter is just out in the cold.
And this is where Mira, the practitioner, steps in. A regular therapist might say, you need to process your grief.
Right. That's the standard approach.
But Mira helps Sera reframe the entire concept of loss. She suggests that Sera hasn't just been singing, she's been teaching her daughter how to build her own house.
I found this part so profound.
Me too. Sera realizes her voice isn't property she's losing, it's a gift she's already given away.
Right.
It lives in her daughter now. It's like distribution.
Distribution is the perfect word. It reframes loss as distribution. That is the key to the telling wound. It suggests that because we are relational, because we are made of the people we connect with, nothing is ever truly lost. It's just scattered among the people who hurt us.
It's a beautiful thought. It makes you feel immortal in a way. But then we have Eli.
Eli.
Eli is a totally different case and honestly, a much scarier one. He's suffering from depersonalization.
Right. And for listeners who haven't experienced that, depersonalization isn't just feeling a bit spaced out. It is a terrifying dissociation where you feel like a puppet or an automaton.
The world feels flat, you feel fake.
He tells Mira he feels like if you peeled back the layers of him, you'd just find more layers, but no actual person inside.
Which is the ultimate horror movie scenario, the house with no rooms inside.
Mm.
And Mira does something drastic here. She breaks professional protocol. She tells him, I see you.
In a clinical setting, that is usually a huge boundary violation. You aren't supposed to make the therapy about your perception.
Right, you're supposed to be a blank slate, a mirror. But she steps out from behind the glass.
Because she realizes that Eli's problem is that he lacks the relational conditions to be real. He feels empty because no one is looking at him with deep attention. So she offers that attention. She proves to him that interiority, that feeling of having a self, isn't something you have. It's something created when someone else looks at you.
It's like she's the observer in a quantum physics experiment. By looking at him, she collapses the wave function and makes him real.
That is a brilliant analogy.
Yes.
She jumpstarts his existence.
Wow.
And the book wraps up this whole arc with Mira's own struggle. She carries what she calls a stone in her mouth, which is a metaphor for her own childhood trauma and her difficult relationship with her mother, who has dementia.
And by the end, she realizes she can't spit the stone out. She can't cure the wound, but she can build a home for it. The wound becomes a door. It's very redemptive.
It is.
It feels like everything has a place. It's a very tidy architecture where every brick fits.
It does. It offers a coherent narrative. Pain has meaning. Listening heals. It's a very comforting architecture.
And then we have to turn to the unrecognizable. And let me tell you, the author, a Penix Arary, is not interested in comforting architecture.
Not in the slightest.
In fact, he seems pretty keen on burning the house down.
Well, yeah. If the telling wound is about building a house, the unrecognizable is about being trapped outside in the static. It challenges the very idea that being seen is a good thing.
This shift really jarred me. I was feeling so warm and fuzzy after the first book, and then this one just hits you like a cold shower. Let's talk about Noor.
Okay, more.
She's one of the main characters in this second text. She works at an architecture firm, but she identifies as an error in the signal.
Yeah.
She calls herself static.
Noor provides the counter-argument to Mira. Mira believes looking at someone makes them real. Noor feels that looking at someone can be an act of surveillance.
Right. She has this critique of a psychiatric hospital her firm is designing. The architects are all high-fiving about healing environments and natural light and open spaces.
All the buzzwords.
And Noor looks at the plans and says, this isn't healing. This is a fishbowl.
She sees the architecture of surveillance.
Yeah.
She realizes that to be seen by an institution or even by a well-meaning doctor like Mira often means being categorized, diagnosed, and managed. It's not the warm, fuzzy, I see you that Mira offers Eli. It's the cold, clinical, I see what's wrong with you.
That is a crucial distinction, being seen versus being watched. When you're watched, you have to perform. You have to act sane or compliant.
Exactly. And then Noor meets Elaine. And Elaine represents the absolute failure of language.
Elaine's story is rough. She has chronic pain, originally diagnosed as fibromyalgia, which she calls a wastebasket diagnosis.
That term wastebasket diagnosis is so important here. It refers to a label doctors use when they know something is wrong, but they don't understand the mechanism, so they just throw it in a category to tidy it up.
It's a label that explains nothing.
Nothing. And because of that, Elaine stops trying to explain her pain. In the first book, The Telling Wound, language heals. In this book, language fails.
Right.
She says metaphors always fall short. Like if she says it burns, people think of a sunburn, but she means her nerves are literally on fire.
Pain is totalizing. It's a private world that no one else can enter. And because she can't communicate it, she becomes isolated. She is unrecognizable to the healthy world.
And these two, Noor the static and Elaine the pain, meet at a community center that Noor's firm is renovating. And this renovation becomes the perfect metaphor for the conflict between these two books.
I got actually angry reading this part.
Tell me why. Well, what was it about the renovation that triggered that reaction?
Well, before the renovation, the room is terrible. It has water stains, cracks, uncomfortable folding chairs. It holds the history of suffering. It looks like how the people inside it feel.
Mm-hmm.
But then the architects come in and fix it. They make it clean, ergonomic, full of light, and Elaine hates it.
She hates it.
She says it looks like suffering hasn't been invented yet.
That line.
It gave me chills.
It is a devastating critique. Suffering hasn't been invented yet. It's a critique of forced wellness. The new design erases the history of what happened in that room. It demands gratitude. It says, look, we made it nice for you. But it feels like erasure to the people who actually suffered there.
It's like when you're depressed and someone tells you to just look on the bright side. The room itself is toxic positivity. It's gaslighting them with drywall.
Exactly. It denies their reality. And this brings us to the core relationship in the Unrecognizable. In the first book, characters heal through understanding.
Right. It's Sherlock Holmes for the soul. Cause and effect.
But in the Unrecognizable, Noor and Elaine bond through the impossibility of understanding.
This is the part I found so refreshing, actually. There's a scene where they basically admit they're both trapped. They want to be known, but being known feels dangerous.
Because if someone understands you, they might try to fix you.
And to them, fixing feels like violence. It feels like trying to remove the static that makes them who they are.
So their definition of friendship is radically different. They don't try to cure each other. They provide witness.
They just sit on a bench. That's it. They sit on a bench and acknowledge that they are both unrecognizable. They don't say, I know how you feel. They don't say, it gets better.
It's a validating of the gap. In the telling wound, we try to bridge the gap between people. In the Unrecognizable, we respect the gap. We say, I can't feel your pain, I can't translate your static, but I can sit next to you while you undo it.
And that distinction, endurance versus healing, is huge. Elaine eventually gets a biological diagnosis for her pain. The science catches up, but, and the book makes a big point of this, it doesn't cure her.
No.
She's still in pain. The validation is nice, but it's not a magic wand.
It's a starting point, not a cure. And that leads us to the synthesis, the way these two books actually talk to each other. Because despite their differences, both sets of characters end up in a similar place, the body.
Yeah, let's talk about the practice of remaining. That's the title of the final segment in our notes here. It sounds almost meditative.
In text 1, Mira learns to thank her mother and forgive the past. She integrates the wound. In text 2, Noor starts a practice of thanking her body just for continuing.
Just for showing up, even with the static, even with the glitches. Thank you for carrying me. It's a much lower bar, but maybe a more realistic one.
And there's this meta-concept mentioned in the analysis that the unrecognizable is almost the residue of the telling wound.
What does that mean? Residue, like what's left in the glass?
Well, think about it. Text 1 believes in the arc. You have a problem, you find the story, you heal. It's a clean trajectory. Text 2 believes in stasis. You have a problem, you can't explain it, you endure it.
So text 2 is what's left over when the story fails.
Exactly. It's the residue. The part of experience that refuses to be turned into a nice, neat story. It's the chronic pain that doesn't have a poetic meaning. It's the trauma that doesn't make you stronger.
That makes so much sense because we all want to be in text 1, right? We all want the arc. We all want the epiphany that fixes the back pain. But sometimes we're just in text 2. We're just on the bench.
And the verdict here isn't that one is right and one is wrong. The verdict is that both were true. We desperately need the hope of narrative. We need merit to make sense of our lives, to organize the chaos.
But we need the realism of Noor and Elaine to survive the parts that don't make sense, the parts that just hurt.
Precisely. If we only had Mira, we'd feel like failures every time we didn't get better. We'd think, I must be telling the story wrong.
And if we only had Noor, we might despair completely. We need the tension between them.
Yes.
We need to know how to build the house, but we also need to know how to sit in the rubble when it falls down.
That is the synthesis.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners? I'm thinking about the person driving to work right now or doing dishes. How do we apply this architecture of the self?
It means we are all architects of each other's reality. That is the key takeaway. Whether you are doing deep listening like Mira, trying to help someone build a house for their voice,
or whether you're just sitting beside someone in the dark like Noor, not trying to fix anything, just offering proof that they exist.
in both cases, you are keeping the other person real. You are the witness. You are preventing them from dissolving into the static.
I keep thinking about that image of the stone and the mouth from the first book. Mira learns that the stone, the trauma, the difficulty, it becomes a door.
And perhaps for Noor and Elaine, the stone remains a stone. It's heavy, and it blocks their speech, but they learn they can carry it together.
It makes me wonder about our own lives. We spend so much time trying to translate ourselves, trying to make sure everyone understands exactly what we mean and who we are. We curate our social media, we rehearse our conversation.
But maybe there is release in stopping, in realizing that the static inside you isn't an error. It's just you. And maybe you don't need to translate it. You just need someone to sit with you while you hum with it.
That's a powerful thought to leave on. I want to ask you, the listener, what part of your own experience is static? What part of you refuses to be turned into a story? And what would it feel like to stop trying to translate it?
And just let it be witnessed.
I think I'm going to be thinking about that bench for a long time. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time. Take care of your static.